Have you ever felt like there's a vivid fire burning inside of you, yearning to break free and illuminate your life? That, my friend, is your vibrant life waiting to bloom. Welcome to the Vibrant Life Podcast. We are here to empower women just like you to liberate that vibrant life, to live authentically, and to harness the power within.
Our journey will take us through the enlightening realms of energy healing, goal setting, spiritual awakening, and so much more. We're stepping into the light of self-acceptance, of owning our power and potential.
If you have been yearning to dive headfirst into the world of entrepreneurship, or awaken your spirituality, or simply make peace with yourself, your search ends here at the Vibrant Life Podcast. As we embark on this enlightening journey together, we promise to hold your hand through every step of your journey to a more vibrant life.
Your adventure to true empowerment and authentic living begins here. Tap into the vibrant life you've always dreamed of. Subscribe now and join us at the Vibrant Life Podcast. Embrace your vibrant self. Until then, shine on.
Shine on. Last time we talked about intuition. And one of the things we talked about was that it can help you set your goals. So today we get to talk about goal setting, which I'm a super nerd about. I love it. It's one of my favorite things in the world. Setting goals for myself and then also helping people find their perfect goal. So we get to talk about that today.
Yay!
Yay! Yeah. Oh, there's a reason I'm a project manager.
Absolutely.
Freaking love goals. They're so great.
I want to pop in and ask you,
Yes.
who is your target audience in setting these goals?
I think, well, really anyone who wants more. Because your more might look different than my more.
Absolutely.
So your more might be, I want to live calmer. I want my days to flow better. Someone else's more might be, I want to make $1 million and I don't know how, so I'm going to start a business. I don't care what your more is. You need goals either way. But I think for me, how I got into setting goals and creating plans for goals was the way to manage my ADD, because I'm so scattered and I can get distracted so easily. So if I had a plan, then it could be almost gamified where I was like, oh, checking that off. It helps with the motivation, but it also helps with clarity. Because I know for me and a lot of other people with ADD, if I am like, oh, I'm going to do all these things, I will overcommit myself so easily.
Absolutely.
So easily. And I think, especially as women, because we are told to do so many different things and be so many different things to so many different people, it's easy for us to get overwhelmed and then completely lose sight of taking care of ourselves. We're at the bottom of our list. So to say, I have a goal, this is what I'm working on it, this is my next step, we can bypass the decision paralysis or the overwhelm, as well as the decision fatigue of what comes next. You have a vision, so you're more motivated to get there and make that vision a reality. But then also, you know the time commitment that you've already committed to yourself. And so it's easier as, at least for me personally, I found it's easier to say, that doesn't fit in my life right now.
Sure.
Right now. Because the other key thing for goals is I reevaluate my goals every quarter. So every 3 months, I'm saying, this is what I'm going to do for the next 3 months. I'm not going to do more than that. My goals might completely change. I might go down one road and be like, this is not it. And completely change my goals. Or my energy levels might change. But that way I have a designated check-in point with myself so that I can say, you know, how am I feeling right now? Checking in with your intuition, which we talked about last time. And where do I want to go and what do I need and what am I feeling in this moment? But this isn't what my life is going to look like forever. Because I feel like there can be some commitment fear with setting goals.
Absolutely.
You know, especially big goals, and they can feel really overwhelming. So using tools to help you break that down can actually help you reach bigger goals.
Love it.
That was a really long answer to your question.
On part of that, though, in the overwhelm of that, part of that is including self-care.
Yeah.
Finding where you need to stop and take a break to get to your goals.
Yeah.
So we can also include that in the plan of, okay, this is where I want to see myself. How do I get there? I know that I got to take care of myself along the way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you won't have enough stamina
Right.
to reach it to the end.
Right. I think it's so easy to say, I want to make $1 million. Who wouldn't want to, right? Everyone would love to have that. So then you're like, okay, I must be very busy to do that. I see all these amazing entrepreneurs, they're out there burning themselves out. That's the way that we're told to get there.
Yeah.
But that might not be the best way for you.
No.
Or you might find a more efficient way to
And
do
we
that
can
just
pull
by
in-
stopping and planning.
Well, in that vibrational energy
Yes.
too, you have to be what you want.
Yes.
So you have to get yourself to a point where you're like, okay, this is the energy, and you just pull it to you, and it's easy and not hard.
Well, and if you do go, full steam ahead and you, let's say you make that $1 million, maybe you're too burnt out to enjoy it.
Sure.
Or you can't make the next million because you are so exhausted. You have nothing left to give.
Sure.
What was that really worth then? If you've achieved this goal, but along the way, you can look back and say, oh, I let my kids down. I let myself down. I let go of these really important relationships with friends because I was so focused on this goal. And so by creating these plans and goals that fit into your life, you can make sure that you're not overcommitting yourself. You're still moving forward. So you don't have that anxiety when you're with other people. I developed this particular plan. I use time boxing and a lot of other things to meet my goals, which we can talk about all of those. But during the pandemic, when I was working from home full time, I was trying to start my own business. I was also a single mom of a 2-year-old. And so I was constantly pulled in these different directions. And I was like, but I had set these goals, right, for myself. And I was like, well, then I have to do them. Things had changed. I needed to reevaluate. And I also needed to know these 2 hours, I'm going to work on this. But I can put my mom hurt at rest because I know the next 3 hours I have blocked out dedicated time to just one-on-one with my daughter. So it's okay for me to say, I can't do this right now. I will be with you 100% present with you after this. And then my time with her was more valuable because it was better quality time because I wasn't also trying to post this thing and finish this thing and answer this email. It was, I answer my work emails from this time to this time. This time is my daughter time. So
having a schedule like that can kind of give you more freedom in what you're doing.
Yes.
Because okay, you're like, this is my time to focus on this.
yes.
Got this coming up. And then you know that your daughter during your work time, your daughter was taken care of.
Yes.
Somebody else is focused on her, and then you have the space to do that.
Yeah.
I want to share when I had just had my third child, my son. I went to pelvic floor physical therapy, and who doesn't need pelvic floor physical therapy after having had a baby? My goal was to fix my pelvic floor. Like, I've had 3 babies. I'm having a lot of issues. Like, I got in there and
No,
right?
shut up.
back up. Like, this is not working for me. And I got in there, and I'm going to give a shout out to Kristen Breathe because she's amazing. She said, but how are you feeling? And I was like, what do you mean, how am I feeling? Like, the pelvic floor needs fixed. Like, this is it.
Right.
And she goes, but we can't fix this problem unless we identify all the things that are going on for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And somehow through that, I identified that I had postpartum depression. I had no idea. And she taught me about self-care. I did not know. I was 33 years old. I did not know what self-care was. I did not know that it was okay to put my own needs first. So my son is almost 5 now. And now that's the thing. That's how I live my life. My needs come first.
Yeah.
And I always use the analogy of the empty cup. You cannot pour from an empty cup.
Yeah. There's a reason that's so prevalent everywhere.
Exactly. There's a reason why
It's
they
so
say
cliche
it.
or whatever.
It's so cliche, but it's so true.
Right.
So you have to fill your cup up. So part of this goal making is going to be filling your cup up. So that way you can identify the things. And I want to go back to feeling, right? We're going to set these goals because this is what I want to obtain, but we're also going to set the goals are going to be of what you want to feel like, because when you identify the feeling, you imagine yourself in this feeling of what it will be like when you have whatever the goal is. And then you're going to raise your vibration to attract that in. And then you're going to just kind of pull it into you. And then it's going to go very smoothly.
Yeah. And I think for me, what I've learned is with this, and this kind of goes into self-care, but, I came from a place where it was very action oriented. I didn't know how to relax.
Exactly.
I didn't know that was something you could do. So actually one of my very first goals was to learn how to relax.
Yeah.
And I made a plan for it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, on Thursday night, I'm going to try watching a movie.
Right.
And I'm not going to feel any guilt. That was my goal. And I use these time blocking tools and all these other things to help me get into that space where I'm like, no, my obligations, my roles or whatever have been met because I've mapped it out and I can see it. I'm a visual person, so I can see it on a calendar. I've met everyone else's needs, but I need to fill out me. And so I'm going to read this book. I'm going to go get a massage, but it can also be, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to make a healthy meal for myself. I think for me, it was also learning what self-care was.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of times it'll be described as those kind of fluffy things. And it's like, I don't have time for that. I don't have money for that. But I can take care of myself in really busy seasons by eating healthy. Or I've learned that while eating healthy is nice, I hate cooking. I hate it. And it's just me and my daughter. So I do meal kits because this is how I'm treating myself. Because then I'm not stuck in the kitchen, especially in a really busy season if I'm trying to do a really big goal or, that just frees up like a half hour of my day. And I know that's a privilege and maybe not a priority for other people, but that's what works for me. And that was part of setting these goals of identifying what do I need in this season to have the energy to meet these things and all the other things I've already committed to. Because as a woman, and especially as a mom, like you can't just be like, this is my one goal. I'm only focusing on this.
Right. It doesn't work.
That's not how that works.
No, we're
you children over there, take care of yourselves now. No, that's no.
No, that's not work like that.
It does not work that, and we wouldn't want it to. In all honesty,
Yeah.
We wouldn't want it to. Oh my gosh, it would be so terrible if your kids didn't need you anymore.
I know. That's a sad story for another day.
Right, when they're older.
When they're all grown up.
Yes. Okay. So, as I was coaching previously, I learned that my brain works differently from other people's. I do a lot of this just intuitively. So I created this Do This First journal. It's on our website. You can find it to help walk you through like step by step my actual goal setting process. And some of this, I've added, I've taken it away. But this is how I kind of naturally go through my goal setting process. So you have 7 steps. The first one is, again, we're pulled in so many different directions. So just get all your ideas out on paper so you can actually focus and tap in. Clearing your mind. We talked about this in meditation. That's the first step of getting it all out. So for me, that's brain dumping on paper.
I was just about to say brain dump. You have to brain dump.
You have to brain dump
get all the things out.
Because otherwise you're trying to fit them all in.
Yeah.
And again, I'm a visual person. So it's you brain dump and then, you look at them and say, I can cross that off. This can go later. And we'll get into this a little bit more. But the second is now that your brain is clear, identifying what season you're in. So this is my method that I created. I created the 100 Seasons Planner. That's why it's named this. But looking at your energy, and I kind of grouped it into 4 different buckets. So you have 4 different seasons. You have a season of resetting, a season of reinvention, a season of revitalization, and then a season of rejoicing. Because you can't be in one mode all the time. And also, if you're trying to do all these things at once, you're not actually going to get anywhere.
Absolutely.
So you can have pieces, but you need one focus. So, a season of resetting is when you're at a crossroads. I have a project ending in the summer, and it's like, okay, a season of resetting. This is ending. What do I want to do next? And what do I need to get myself there mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually? All of those things play into that. So it's just a season of restarting. Reinvention is when you're really deep in the woods of getting shit done. But you're doing it in a way that maybe you're exploring new hobbies. Maybe you're, trying out new things. You're trying out new foods. You're trying out a new way of approaching your life. So you're discovering, you're reinventing. Revitalization is a season of deep self-care. So you're taking a step back and you're saying, I need to refill up my cup. In this season of reinvention, maybe I really went hard for this goal, this business goal, this whatever goal. And now I need to kind of revitalize. And I need to step back and say, this is a time where I'm going to really focus on getting some of those building block basics locked in. So I'm going to figure out what meal plan works best for me and how I want to do that. And how does that work for my family? Or maybe your goal is a cleaning goal or whatever. I want to figure out how to take care of my house better. These are getting those building blocks in place. And then I think we always need a season of rejoicing. And for me, this usually coincides with summer because that's where you're just celebrating the kids are out of school. You're having all the events with your friends and your family and holidays. And so you're just relaxed.
Yeah.
You're taking that time back to say, this is everything that I've accomplished and we need to enjoy that. That doesn't mean to say that I don't have any goals, but they're maybe not the goals that require a ton of focus and attention and time quite as much as maybe some of my other seasons.
Sure. I love that you divided those into the seasons. As you were talking about that, I was thinking about my seasons look a little bit different.
Yeah.
But they have the same premise.
Right.
I call my spring as when I'm planting seeds of what's going to happen through the summer. The summer is when I really reinvent things and get moving and do a lot of work. Fall for me is where you let the things fall away that no longer serve you and things that you need to clear space for. And then winter is rest. And so
Yeah.
I think that's a good example of that. These things can be placed wherever you're
Right.
at.
And it's like for me, I come from a corporate background. So I set goals quarterly, but you could also do it in the season. So instead of starting your goals in January, you could have them start in like November if you're wanting to go with that winter energy or the spring energy. You could do it. Just my brain cringes at not starting on the first of something.
For me, actually, the first of the year, I go with I'm more astrology based. So April 1st is like the beginning of the Lunar New Year. And
There you
so
go.
really that's when the seasons start for me. So
Yeah.
it's good to take in mind, where am I at? What resonates with you intuitively?
Yes.
And it might have to do with your birth chart when you were born and how things are laid out that way too.
Right. It's like these aren't rigid. And also, I think it's worth mentioning, you don't have to go in a certain order.
Yeah.
Also, if you are, really fired up or we're going to talk about this later, like it's a mix of energy and logistics. So, if you are in a place where you can have two really heavy seasons or you're feeling really invigorated to do this goal, you could have two reinvention seasons back to back. Or maybe you're in a season where you really need to take care of yourself. Going through my divorce, I was in a cocooning season for a while. It was a little bit of reinvention, but a lot of self-care of learning how to do that. I didn't have the energy or the headspace to go after some big goal.
Sure.
And so that wasn't the right time for me to do that. But then having taken that step back and healed that and given myself permission to be in kind of those lower commitment seasons, then I was able to step forward, I think, a lot better than I would have done.
Right. You give yourself time to rest and recharge to fill that cup back up.
Right.
Because you can't go.
Yeah,
without that.
You can't just be like, okay, I'm gonna just move on like nothing happened. So I know I need concrete steps. If you're like, okay, great, how do you tap into your intuition? How do I know what season I'm in? There's little questions that you can ask yourself. So you can, say, I have clarity in my life purpose, or am I feeling overwhelmed? And depending on where you are on kind of that scale, that can help indicate what season you're in when you're setting goals. So once you know what season you're in, you can look at your brain dump and say, these fit within this season. This is what I'm going to focus on. This is where my energy needs to lie. And then you have to lock in your logistics because, again, our goals don't exist in a bubble. So I can say, okay, I'm in this season of really building up my business, or I want to go hard on my fitness, or I want to really pour into my friends. But then you have to actually sit down with your calendar and say, these are the things I've already committed to. Maybe I have a work conference at this time, or we've got, so-and-so's birthday. So I need to be aware of that as I commit to setting my milestones for my goals.
Sure.
Does that make sense? Do you do that at all?
You know what?
You do it a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm an air sign. I'm super floaty. I'm just going with it. So for me, the only time I can relate to goal setting was when I first started tapping into my intuition. I learned to work with the moon and to write down things I was releasing during the full moon. So forgiving people that need forgiven, releasing energies that I no longer needed, like anger, doubt, fear, and guilt, and whatever else. And then when the new moon comes in, I write down things I want to manifest in my life. So then I list it out on these are the things I want. It took me a long time to realize that I had to think about the feelings that I wanted to bring into my life and what I wanted that to look like. So for me, it was more of, I want to feel more joy in my life. I think I probably at first would manifest my family is so happy, or like there's a lot of laughter in this house, which I guess falls in line with that. But
Yeah.
the first thing I did was get a new job.
Yeah.
And so I wrote down very specifically, I will make this much money. I will be the supervisor of this unit. And I wrote all these things out on what I wanted to bring in. And then it didn't look like that at all. I ended up leaving that job, bringing in another one. And then that job was almost worse than the first job. So then that took me a whole nother year of figuring out what I wanted. And then I got into I want to be in a job where I'm surrounded by empowered women. I want to be in a job where I feel like I'm really helping the community. I want to be in a job where I don't feel like money is tight, where money flows freely.
Yeah.
So I wrote all these things down. And then for those of you who know me know that I found the perfect job.
Right.
It landed in my lap. In fact, I was in bed. I was done with my phone for the day. And
Yeah.
got the do not disturb on. I'm dead. And I was laying there and I was like, I have to look at Facebook right now. And one of my coworkers from a previous job posted a posting from her current job. And that was it. It was the job. So I was able to tap in.
Yeah.
Actually here, the job is ready now. And I knew right then in that moment that was the job that I had been trying to bring in. But it took me 3 years to get there.
Yeah.
Because I didn't set the right things. I didn't know what I was looking for yet. I had to experiment and figure that out first.
But it's interesting that you found the right job when you stopped saying, I want this specific thing. I want to feel this way.
Exactly.
I want to feel like this. I want it to have this kind of energy. And similarly, I was at a point where I was feeling kind of burned out. And I was like, I just want this kind of job. I want this kind of money. Also, I want it to flow. I'm tired of being stressed about money. I want to be back in the world. This was when the pandemic was kind of calming down and it fell in my lap.
Right.
I was just like, this is what I need.
You let go of control and you surrendered.
Right. I had never heard of a project like this, but I knew I wanted to feel like I was contributing and I wanted this amount of money and I wanted to be with these kind of people. And I got a project that's literally impacting lives, tapping into my technology background.
Yeah.
It's insane when it works. Like it gives you shivers when it works. But for me, going into a different kind of energy is, I struggle with PMDD. So what that means is about 7 to 10 days before my cycle begins, I crash hard, and it's all hormonal. And so for me, when I'm setting goals, I have to say, okay, I know in this time of the month, I'm going to feel like this. So I need to assign the tasks that I've identified that I'm capable of doing. Because if I hold myself to the standard of up here, where I'm going all the time, I'm feeling my best, that's going to just tank my mental state even more. But if I say, I'm going to be gentle with myself, and these are the things that I can still be moving towards my goals, but these are the things, the expectations or the tasks that I'm going to try to get done in this time of the month, I'm so much more successful because I'm tapping into that energy that I already have and working with the flows that are natural. I mean, all women go through a cycle every month and our hormones go up and down. So knowing how to work with that too. There's a really cool app called The Agenda.
Yeah.
I love her. She's from Des Moines. I've met her. She's amazing. I figured this out because I was struggling with my energy because I was holding myself to the same standard. I was like, yesterday I could do all of these things. I could focus so well. I could do whatever. And today my house could be burning down around me and I would not have a fuck to give about it. And that's not me. If you know me, like, that's not me. And so I was like, something's going on. And then I am part of this group called Fem City. It's an amazing group. It's a networking group. But she was giving a talk to our group at one of the sessions that month. And I was like, oh my gosh, my therapist had just told me, I think you have PMDD. And so I was talking to her about it. And she goes, well, yeah, every woman has to plan based on their cycle because we have different energy. We have different hormones going through our body. So you can do different tasks. They're like your superpower. Yeah. If you're at this time of your cycle, and I can't remember the names, but if you're at this part of your cycle, you're going to be really good at tapping into your creative energy. You're going to be really good at letting things flow, and you should be pulling in sales. The way she learned this was she tracked her cycle with her sales. So she tracked her cycle of when she could close the most deals and found out that it went with her period. This is my fucking superpower. I'm going to bring in all the money of this week. And I was like, That's amazing. Like, but that's just like learning to work with your energy and flow with who we are innately as women instead of fighting that.
Exactly.
Instead of fighting it. Because one of the pieces of information that blew my mind is so much of our productivity books and resources are based on men's hormones. They have a 24-hour cycle. So always at 8 a.m., they're feeling the same.
Sure.
Women have a 28-day cycle. So we might be feeling completely different.
Sure.
We're not going to feel the same at 8 a.m. every morning, but men can reset through the night, every night. And they can just be like, yeah, this is what I do. This is my day. And women, no, that does not work for us. And so you have to learn to set goals around that. Because if you hold yourself to that standard of like, every morning at 6 a.m., I'm going to feel great. I'm going to crush this workout.
We should tag that. We'll tag that.
Yeah, we'll tag, because it's amazing. Life-changing. Love her. Shout out. Powered women. Love it. Okay, but anyway, going back to goal setting. So you have to lock in your logistics. And then I get down to the tasks. Because if I walk into a day and I don't have a plan, nothing's getting done. Right?
Yeah.
You know? And I have to work around my kids' schedules. And, you know, I'm divorced. So I have these weekends, I don't have my kid. And sometimes I'm feeling really good about working towards my goals. And sometimes I just want to relax. And I have to let myself be okay with both of those and plan accordingly. But then I'm also a big believer in celebrating. So that's your last step.
Wow.
End of every quarter. Celebrate like crazy.
Absolutely.
Celebrate it.
Your badassery.
Celebrate your badassery.
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's how I set goals. We can do a in-depth in our group.
I love it. That's a good touch on
Oh.
subject.
But yes, so answering the question of how you decide what goal to do right now, you have to decide what season you're in and touch in with your intuition, and then it will just be clear to you. I think the combination of knowing kind of where you're at and then having a list of all the things you could be doing, something's going to speak to you. And you know, this is what I need to be doing right now.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Short answer to a big question.
Hey, that's perfect. It worked out really well.
So, anything you want to add?
I don't think so. I think that's it for today. Thank you for tuning into the Vibrant Life podcast. We hope today's episode has energized and inspired you to live your best life. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so as to never miss an episode. And please take a moment to leave us a review. Your feedback fuels our mission to bring you more valuable content. Remember, your journey to vibrant life is ongoing. Stay connected with us on social media at Vibrant Life Society for daily tips, motivation, and community support. As we wrap up today's conversation, we encourage you to embrace each moment, pursue your passions, and prioritize your well-being. Together, let's create a life that radiates with energy and purpose. Until next time, live vibrantly. See you in our next episode.